character in that the guy's name was Data?
Star Trek, Next Generation.
Oh God, I went back to the Goonies. One of the kids in the Goonies. But yeah, you're right.
Was there a Data in the Goonies?
Yeah. It was.
Yeah, you know what? I think there was.
There was.
There was? Judah says, yeah?
Yeah.
Huh.
And Judah.
I would have said Star
Judah had a
Trek,
mic. Everybody could hear him.
Yeah. Star
Yes.
Trek. I would have said Star Trek, but Goonies, huh?
Goonies. Yeah. It was.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, you guys.
It's a
What are you
Friday.
talking about? That's how you're supposed to talk. Hey, you guys.
That's a blast from the past. When was the Goonies released?
Mid 80s. That's
Had to
Richard
been the
Donner
80s.
too. That's Richard Donner was a great director back then.
Mid 80s. Wow.
I remember watching that with Yasmina.
Well, Data was the Asian character, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So he just won an Oscar.
That I did not know.
Yeah.
1985.
1985 for the Goonies.
The Goonies, and Key. Oh, I'm not even gonna try to attempt to pronounce his name, but his name was Data.
Goonies is a great movie.
The things that pop into Smith's heads at the last second.
What's the movie that catches your every time it's on, Woody?
Oh,
On TV, you stay.
I
change.
I love movies, period. But
Me too.
Shawshank is always one.
Oh, so good.
Gosh, there's a bunch of them. Braveheart.
Braveheart is so good. I love Braveheart.
what was
I
that,
also
Chad, again?
love. I love The Patriot.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
That's great.
Patriot's
You know,
good.
his character is a composite of 3 people from the period of time. It's really
In The
interesting story.
Patriot?
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know that. Who are the 3 characters?
That I don't remember.
What's yours, Judah?
Aim small, miss small.
Yeah, it's good advice.
So if you're like Jerry's saying, if you're flipping through whatever Netflix or whatever the heck you're flipping through, and you see it, no matter where it's at in the movie, you got to watch the whole thing.
Oh man, Conan.
Oh yeah, nice.
Conan, wow. That's a blast from the past. I like that.
Conan the Barbarian?
Yeah.
Really?
Princess Bride.
Princess Bride's great.
Oh yeah.
Princess Bride's fantastic.
Well,
Why don't
I'm
we
a-
talk about that to start the program?
Sure.
That says a lot about.
I would have never expected that.
Princess Bride's fantastic.
No, the Conan would.
I wouldn't have expected that, but
Yeah,
Conan's a good
wow.
one. That's
Conan's
a good
great.
blast from the past.
Well, I wonder if there's some Briggs Myers for that. We should overlay that to Muppets.
Somehow we're going to get back to Muppets, I think, on the program. Judo, you can rock and roll here on the talk show when you are ready, my friend.
Quiet on the set.
Good Friday morning, guys. I'm Jerry Miller, and thank you kindly for joining us on Real Talk with Keith Smith, the first Friday of the month of February in 2024. And we talk everything on Real Talk with Keith Smith. We talk Muppets, we talk Briggs Myers, we talk interest rates, we talk real estate, we talk development, we talk inventory, we talk movies. Real estate life, the pursuit of happiness through physically conservative decision-making processes is kind of the motif, but really we never know where we're going to go. Judah Wickower is the director of the Fine and Fair Talk Show. I hope you have a 4-shot set up because I want to weave you in with the music piece. We got a bunch of people already suggesting what their movie that keeps them on. Holly Foster and Henrico, I'm curious of your take. Kevin in Waynesboro says it's Remember the Titans for him. Keith asked the question.
Well, you kicked it off.
Yeah, so the question, and I'll get out of your way. If the movie's on TV, I guess I should say Netflix or streaming, wherever you get your content now, and you see it, what movie keeps you sticky to the channel?
Remember we used to ask those 3 questions way back?
Running the gauntlet.
Way back, I think whatever century that was when we started this.
5 years ago.
5
Scott
years.
Thorpe, the commercial broker, hello.
Yeah, we used to ask three questions, and this was one of them. Is you go do that, and Judah, of all the years we've known each other for 5 years, you utterly shocked me with Conan the Barbarian as the movie of all the movies out there. You thought, what the hell? Where the hell did that come from?
Are you on a 4-shot, Judah?
Yeah.
Oh, you are?
That's the first one. It's just the first one that came to mind. I mean, it's a great movie, and I remember seeing it at a drive-in theater.
We need to take you to like a
My
movie
family.
appreciation class somewhere.
Really?
Of all that,
He loves movies.
So I've just got this whole Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's a family kind of thing because Yona's Austrian and she's sensitive about her accent and stuff like that. So it's. A
Woody
thing.
Finchem's a movie buff and aficionado. Top Gun's being put on the feed. Woody, how about you?
Mine's probably Shawshank Redemption, and to my wife's chagrin, also Starship Troopers, because I like Peter Verhoeven, the director. His commentary on society has always been interesting.
And what's yours?
Great movies.
Yeah, those are fantastic movies. I mean, you guys have got great movies. I love Usual Suspects. I love
yeah.
Goodfellas. I'm a huge fan of the Die Hards. Huge fan of Forrest Gump. Huge fan of Rudy.
Well, there's a question for you then. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Oh,
Oh,
dude, I
100%.
just wrote that down. I literally just wrote
I say
that
Die
down.
Hard is definitely a Christmas movie. Would you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I don't think there's even a
understand-
debate about that.
I don't understand the people that say it's. A lot of people say it's not a Christmas movie.
Until Hans squishes on the pavement, it's not Christmas.
That was the funniest thing Woody Fincham has said on this program. He deadpanned it.
Conan, and I didn't realize that your humor was that dark. So I love it. Goodfellas, a little movie thing on Goodfellas. You probably know this. You know the sign, the portion of it where the Pesci character is saying, "Do you think I'm funny?" Mm-hmm.
He ad-libbed it.
That is totally ad-libbed.
Yeah, he scared the other actor to death with
Yeah.
that.
Ray
can't
Liotta.
remember- Ray Liotta, thank you.
Yeah.
And he used to because I got a little inside track on this stuff because our oldest daughter is in the movie business, and apparently, according to the scuttlebutt, Pesci carried around a loaded .38. He was always in character and scared the living daylight. He thought he was going to kill him. Really thought he was going to kill him. So that is not. I guess that's acting, but that character was super, super frightening.
Your Beautiful Wife says Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah. Anytime it's on, we'll stop and watch it.
It's a fantastic movie. Katie Pearl, what's it for you?
Yeah, please.
Any movie that is on TV or streaming keeps your attention and keeps you from changing the channel. Sarah Hill Buchensky for you as well. Holly Foster says Random Hearts with Harrison Ford, Top Gun, and The American President. Those are
Oh,
great ones
that's a
from
great
Holly
movie,
Henrico.
yeah.
Those are great ones.
That's one of Michael Douglas's best roles, I think.
Oh, 100%. Michael Douglas is fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ma-
Lately, I've been watching and rewatching. My wife turns it off my tablet every night when I fall asleep with it. Oppenheimer. I love the new Oppenheimer.
Really?
movie. It's
Explain
really
that.
good.
I literally got up and walked out of that movie.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't follow it. Maybe it's my level of intelligence. I don't know.
Nah.
But I couldn't follow. It was jumping all over the place.
Well,
Very similar.
It's
to,
not a linear timeline because it goes back and forth. And it's
that
the other
guy's-
thing that's confusing about it is when it's in black and white, it's one character's perspective, and when it's in color, it's a different.
I got all
character's-
that. I got all that.
It can
I
be a little
just-
confusing.
I don't know. I just found it difficult. But I'm a TCM guy, so we watch TCM all the
Oh,
time.
nice.
So my movie, which will not surprise me, if Casablanca's on, I don't care. If it's like just before the ending scene when they walking out, I will watch that movie. In my opinion, that's the greatest movie ever made. And my second one is come on, Smith, I could do this. Lawrence of Arabia.
Lawrence of
I'm
Arabia.
surprised you
that's
didn't
a
say
good
that
one.
Muppets Take Manhattan or Muppets Take Manhattan. So.
Well, there was a you missed. There was a pre-production meeting that Jerry and I had. He said, enough with the Puppets, all right?
I did not say that. I've never told you what you can or
Did we
cannot
ever
do.
run you through that test?
I did it
No,
when you
You
guys
did it
were-
on
did it
your
when
own.
we were
Who were
watching.
you again?
I forgot, it was.
Were you Beaker?
Beaker, yeah.
Yeah. Katie Pearl, for her, it's My Best Friend's Wedding. That's a great movie, Katie Pearl. My Best Friend's Wedding. How about you, Sarah Hill Buchensky?
I got
Curious
some
for
good
you.
market news that I'm looking at right now.
We'll get to market news here. The viewers and listeners appreciate this topic. The movie, when it's on TV or on a streaming platform where you never change the channel or you always find yourself playing. We rattled off some of ours, and it's the viewers and listeners are offering their perspective. Right down the road, one of North Downtown's finest says, for him, Top Gun, I know it's already been mentioned, but that brings back memories of my youth. Top Gun.
the original one.
The original one was fantastic. Val Kilmer was sensational.
I actually
Yeah.
have a story for that Top Gun.
Oh, you have a story?
Go figure.
Didn't
huh?
mention that.
Go
What is your
figure.
story of
Go-
Top Gun, Keith Smith?
So it came out, and I was still stationed in Ottawa, Canada, and the duty that I was on, back in the 80s, there was only a couple of people that had beepers. There was drug dealers, doctors, and us.
Okay.
And my mother flew with Yasmina was maybe a month, 2 weeks old, or a month old, or something like that when the movie came up. My mother flew up to Canada, and Yasmina turned out to be colicky, which we did not know at the time. And I was sitting in the middle. I've never actually seen that movie in the movie theater, because when I was sitting through it, my beeper went off because somebody decided to throw a bomb at the embassy, and I needed to go to the embassy and
wow.
go do my thing. So I've never actually seen that movie in the movie theater, which I would have loved to actually see in the wide, in a full movie theater setting with the flying and all that stuff.
Neil Williamson, watching the program, the president of the Free Enterprise Forum, he says Groundhog's Day for him. Interestingly, it is Groundhog's Day today.
Well.
Teresa Davis, watching right down Market Street at Frontrunner Signs. Frontrunner Signs is fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. She says, we use Frontrunner Signs here in this building. She says, Fifth Element and the original Dune for her.
Oh.
Fifth Element is excellent.
Yes,
That's
I mean-
Bruce Willis, right?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
It was excellent.
He was excellent in Fifth
Oh,
Element.
the best character in that movie, though, is Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
My gosh, it's so good.
And yeah, I mean, who was the oh God, who was the character, the alien or the Oracle? I'm trying to remember the actress's name.
Mia Jovanovic, or however you pronounce her last name.
Yeah, she was pretty awesome, and I think that was her first acting thing. Look! While other folks are coming in their movies,
James Watson, hello, your brother-in-law.
James. Hey,
Sharon
James.
Gentry Robinson, welcome to the program.
James, what's your favorite movie?
Not favorite movie. Well, I mean, I guess it could be favorite movie, but it's the movie that when it's on television or a streaming platform, you never change the channel. Yeah, I guess that's probably your favorite movie. You're probably right about that.
Well, yeah, it's a different. If it's a
Are they
different,
the favorite movies, the ones you rattled off?
No, I mean, it depends on my mood and the day to what my favorite's actually going to be. So
and that's how I would lean. But you're 100% right. You did a better job at that, Jerry. As you're buzzing through it, you've got to stop no matter what. And mine are those two movies. And generally, when that happens, Yona gets up and walks out.
Shawshank to me is the biggest.
That's
Only that time?
Is the biggest atrocity ever in the Oscars, because Tim Robbins should have won an Oscar for that, but the movie only grossed nothing, and then it hit video and got this big cult following behind it.
That's
And-
Yona's favorite, by the way.
Oh yeah.
It's funny how the movies, when released later, how they either get a cult following or boom in popularity. For example, Suits is on Netflix now, and Suits it's struggled on USA Network, but it's one of the most watched shows on Netflix right now. The show Suits. So it's a phenomenon that I don't think anyone can really describe. This topic is resonating with people. This was Lauren Keswick, and for her, she says The Princess Bride. Classic movie right there.
Yeah,
Judah Wickower has
so-
gotten some.
So in my younger days, they used to. What's the character's name? The hero. I forgot. What's the hero's name?
The Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yeah, so I was referred to that character. The best scene in that whole movie,
Wesley.
Wesley. That was it, Wesley. The best scene in that movie. Who played the old warlock and the witch in it? Famous comedian
Billy Crystal.
Billy Crystal.
Yeah.
That's the best scene in that movie.
What do you know your movies?
He's almost dead.
He's only mostly dead.
Oh, mostly dead.
Only mostly dead.
It is Groundhog's Day.
And did we have
Is
more
it-
winter or
it's
no
it
winter? Does anybody know?
Early spring.
Punxsutawney Phil, is that who it is?
Punxsutawney Phil, yeah.
Did he see The Shadow?
It's going to be in early spring.
It's going to be in early spring. I think we're all happy for that,
I am.
right? I mean, I know our colleague Judah Wickower certainly is. All right, we will get to real estate. It is a real estate.
No.
show.
I just want to share some good news, right? We're up to 60 new listings this week.
I'll get out of town.
Spring is a blooming.
When was that happening? And we got 59. I rounded it up. 59
So 59, we can attribute that to Poxitani Phil.
or
Real Talk with Keith Smith.
since Thursday, today's Friday. Since Thursday morning, 27 new homes hit the market. It
Awesome.
could be that. It also could be that. And I think what's going on here is we're starting to get into this cycle where you're starting to see Wednesday, Thursdays,
Yeah.
houses come on the market, and I'm going to be real curious when we hit mid next week on what the pending number is. But it's interesting. 7 days back, 59 came on. Only 65 went into pending. So feels like a bit of a balance, but about half of those 59 just hit the market like in the last 24 hours.
John on Woody's page, help me with this last name. Is it Copulus?
Just calling Cope.
John Cope, watching the program right now, says Pulp Fiction.
Oh, great movie.
Yeah, so that's just a really hard question to ask because I love. So if I'm buzzing through it, and I think the thing is if Pulp Fiction is on or Casablanca's on, Casablanca will win over Pulp Fiction. But if Pulp Fiction is on and something else is on, Pulp Fiction will win. It's
Pulp Fiction's fantastic.
But it's the most known of Tarantino's movies.
What's your
probably
favorite?
probably his best is Jackie Brown. I love
Jackie
that movie.
Brown is fantastic. The stewardess, maybe that's not the preferred nomenclature anymore. The airline attendant
Yeah.
and Jackie Brown, she played that role so well.
Coen Brothers. What's your best Coen Brothers movie?
Oh gosh. Give me a second.
Well, mine's Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, but that's a pretty
Oh, we quote that in my household all the
yeah,
time.
that's a pretty simple one.
That's probably it. It's basically the Odyssey.
It is exactly the Odyssey. Mel Brooks, best Mel Brooks movie.
Spaceballs.
So yeah, Young Frankenstein is totally mine.
Miller's Crossing, not on that list
Abby Normal.
for Coen Brothers movies. How about True Grit? I figure you as a True Grit kind of guy, Woody.
The original one or
The second one.
The second one I thought was better.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a Coen Brothers movie.
That's hard not to like.
I never cared for John Wayne. Don't
Really?
hate me, but
Yeah,
I never
no,
cared for him.
no.
My dad loved it. I think I just consumed too much of it as a child on Saturday.
If you really dig into The Searchers, it's a pretty dark movie.
Kevin wants to know if his three friends, if their homes hit at the lake, like he predicted earlier in the week.
I will look at that real quick. I have not seen a change in inventory at the lake, but while we're talking about other better movies, I will take a look at that.
We'll look on the fly. Frank Novak says, Woody is watching in Potomac, Maryland.
Frank.
Viewers and listeners, if you haven't realized, especially those that are new to the program, you can offer comments on social media, and our software aggregates that commentary, and we mention your name and relay your questions or your comments or your props live on air. This is a good one for Woody. You'll appreciate this. With Woody Fincham on the show, I hope you guys cover the recent assessment news.
That's kind of
has
why
come
he's
out.
here.
That's why Woody Fincham is here. So why don't we start with an open-ended?
Well, to answer Kevin's question, so what's today? Friday? Since Wednesday.
Friday the 2nd. John
There-
Blair, hello.
Hey, John. We went from 6 to 10 units, so it may be one of those without knowing the specific addresses. But there are 4 more homes that are not new construction that hit Lake Monticello, kicking off at 3:15 and ended at 6:55. So
4,300 homes at Lake Monticello. For those that are new don't know the area as well, it's the largest neighborhood in our region, Central Virginia, and total units on the market out of 4,300 homes, Keith. In fact, Woody and Keith both live there.
we're 10, and really it's 9. There's one with an active with the kick out that my suspicion is I don't really count that in inventory.
I wouldn't count that.
Count that in inventory available on it. So just for those
So
who,
9 out of 4,300.
so those don't know, active with a kick out has like probably a pre-sale contingency in it, and those usually get removed pretty quickly.
Joe Meyer watching the program
Hey, Joe.
I think he's in Louisiana.
He is, yeah.
He says, Forrest Gump, good morning, guys. And oh, yeah, Oh, Brother is a great one as well.
Yeah, great show kickoff. Right?
And Woody Fincham is on the show. The appraisers come out from across the country. But I want to get into his brain. Assessments in our area up in the city of Charlottesville. That's the news for the layman. We got an expert here. Show is yours. Anywhere you want to go.
So, yeah, I've been listening over the last few days with you guys talking about it off and on as I can. I can't listen to the whole show most days because I'm in my car driving around. But one of the things I wanted to kind of focus on with assessments is I know Keith has been talking a lot about, and you as well, Jerry, that we went up on like the sub 250 properties, $200,000 properties, 11%?
Sub 250. 250,000 jumped 11%.
Right. So one of the things that we have to talk about is the fact that that may not be an accurate percentage. Now that's how much they move. That part of it is accurate. But if the city or the municipality had not been up to current market value the prior year, maybe they were below market value and they decided to catch it up this year, they're charged with being at market value. So they have the statutory requirement to go to market value, and there's nothing wrong with them doing that. They're just catching up. It's funny, and I don't mean this to be like slanted humor or anything like that, but no one ever complains when their assessments are below market value, but they always complain when they go up. And if you don't compare one thing to the other, you may be jumping to a conclusion that it's in fact just catching up.
So you think that's what it is?
Maybe. I mean, I always give appraisers and assessors the benefit of the doubt until I find something that makes me not give them the benefit of the doubt.
Tough question for you. And Judah, you have the charts that we can put on screen? Assessment increases?
I think so.
What class of real estate or price point is most difficult? You do have them? Okay, fantastic. Most difficult to assess?
So when you get into non-residential property, that can get really difficult to do. Most assessment jurisdictions are going to go more towards an individual property appraisal rather than doing the mass appraisal. With residential, they do what's called mass appraisal. Mass appraisal is where they're taking a bunch of properties and throwing them into a category together, and then they move them all together accordingly. When you get into special use properties like churches and industrial flex buildings and things like that, they tend to be more geared towards a individual appraisal look at it. So those can be difficult, and they're the most resource draining because I can give, when I was managing Albemarle's office, we could give one appraiser on staff somewhere between 5,000 to 10,000 parcels for their annual based on how many people I had on staff. With my commercial people, it was one person with the help of maybe a couple of assistants doing all of the commercial property. And
good Lord.
Yeah, it's a big task. It really is.
How can someone do that amount of work with such little human capital or hours in the day? Is that done? What do you call them? Did you call them desktop appraisals?
No, I mean, they do go out in the field. They're not, unless a taxpayer allows the assessor's appraiser to go into the property, they'll do a drive-by. So as an example, like let's look at Forest Lakes. That's a big subdivision everybody's pretty familiar with. Bunch of property in there. And whoever's assigned to that particular subdivision, every sale that happens, they're supposed to, or at least when I was there, our policy was if it's sold or it's on the market, you're going to go out and drive the neighborhood and look at it, at least from the exterior. And they have access to the MLS so they can see the interior photographs and get an idea of condition and things like that. So they are going out in the field, but it's weighted very heavily on mass appraisal technique, which is mostly statistics.
So just as you guys were chatting, I just, for the heck of it, took a look at a recent sale that just sold, looking at from 250 and below in the city of Charlottesville. It was 311 7th Street. It sold for $245. The tax assessed value last year was $207. So I'm just trying to do some quick math. So if we go ahead and add just a quick 10%, we're somewhere around 220, 225. So their tax assessed value will be cheaper than what they bought it for. So that's what folks need to look at when they're doing that. Now there could be some cases where the opposite end of it goes, but at that price point down, and I'm just trying to pick very quickly just a couple of recent sales because that's what they have to look at, right?
Right.
They can't. I think one of the questions came up is can they budget in or can they appraise for something that is going to happen?
Oh, I asked that question. I specifically asked, can the upzoning potential or the upzoning upside, for lack of a better phrase, impact the assessment today, even though it's not officially greenlit, although we all know it's coming?
Well, the answer to the question is complicated, like anything. So when did the vote go through?
So December, it was basically greenlit, but they pushed it to February
It doesn't go in effect until February of this year.
until February.
But it
this year.
was in 2023 when it happened, late
Yeah.
2023. So at that point in time, the jurisdictions have gotten their assessments are done. They got to post them on the 1st, right? This is what your proposed assessment value is going to be as of July 1st. So they've already gotten all their work done at that point. If they are projecting, I would say that they're doing something that's not
I don't
it's
think
not
that they
statutorily
are.
supported. I don't think so either. I hope they're not.
Because I'm doing some quick math here, and again, I'm doing it on the fly. I picked 2 or 3 recent sales, and they're, if they add 11% to these recent sales, they're still going to be below what the recent sales were.
So they're catching up.
So I
Yeah.
think they're catching up is what's going. And Jerry asked me this question the other day, and I haven't had a chance to take a look at it, and we'll pivot into Charlottesville a little bit because there's been some changes at the Ix Park, right?
Well, Woody and I briefly talked about
Got
this.
that.
Their assessments over the years have spiked dramatically. I mean, we're talking like triple-digit assessment spikes in 1 year because of the highest and best use potential of Ix is not its current form, which you would quantify as its current form is what?
Office space.
Mixed-use retail?
It's a hodgepodge of things, I think, is the
Yeah.
best way to say it.
Right, and we all know that acreage is, I think it's 17 acres. Its highest and best use is probably some dense housing and some apartment or condo towers of some kind.
Yeah, I mean, the first question you got to ask is that property being used at its most maximally productive economic use? And the
No.
answer is no.
Right.
I mean, I think we can all say that pretty easily.
Yeah.
So have we heard from Charlottesville that that's actually what they're doing, is basing it on the as vacant highest and best use?
I mean, that's according to the property owners and the media.
Okay.
And they appealed, and they had it reduced multiple times over the years, and they're basically petitioning the community through the power of PR, saying, "Look, we're in this tough spot. We're basically creating an art district or a music district or something for the humanities, and if we continue to get pop like this, we're not going to be able to do more like." Humanitarian
So
work, if you will.
I'll play devil's advocate.
Please.
When you market it for what is it, 80?
I can find it. It's
It's
something like
it's
that.
$85 million.
It goes kind of against the narrative you're trying to.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
You can't have.
Yeah.
You can't, on the left hand, say, "Hey, I want $85 million for this because this is all the great stuff you could do for it," and on the other hand, and I rent space there. My office is there.
Yeah, it is there.
Right.
Well, it used to be after today's show.
It used to be as of 2 minutes ago. Look at you, man.
Woody's on point today.
But yeah, I should learn how to shut my mouth, huh?
No, it's fun.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm buzzing through all of this stuff. I'm up to 6, and we're sales volume, right, versus what tax value is it? It's somewhere between 10 and 15%. So 11% at that 250 point isn't too surprising to me on it. But the folks that we want to talk to folks, if you get your tax thing and you think you're being overcharged, that's when you reach out to somebody like myself and Woody.
Right.
And we will help contest it because there is an appeal process that you can go through. But at the moment, and I think the shocking thing about that is, the families that own those homes can probably afford this to lease. And I think that's where the inequity comes in. Right, because the ones that, I don't have the chart in front of me, but the ones that are $500,000 or up or whatever have like low single digit increases, if I remember that chart correctly.
Dr. John Shabe, owner of Pro Granada, welcome to the program. The zoning, I'll get out of your way here. This is on the IX. It's 17.4719 acres. Arguably the most valuable
But it's not worth 85 million bucks.
undeveloped property in the city.
But it's not worth 85 million.
Do I call it undeveloped? Is that fair?
No, it's developed.
Okay,
I mean,
developed.
for the most part.
Underdeveloped.
Okay,
It's,
underdeveloped.
it's what the planning term is. It's underutilized.
Underutilized.
There you go.
The zoning allows
Did I do right?
buildings.
Yeah.
Keith, you'll appreciate this. The zoning, and I'm reading from the listing here. The zoning allows buildings up to 101 foot tall,
Yeah.
density up to 240 DUA. You gonna help us with that? The DUA.
Dwelling units per acre.
Okay, thank you. Current zoning. You're on point right there, Keith Smith. Current zoning allows up to 751
Yeah.
dwelling units by right. And the new proposed zoning, NX 8, allows unlimited density and up to 8 stories.
So at the risk of getting kicked out of my office space,
This is where his office is located.
at the risk of getting kicked out of my office space, as I said earlier, on one hand, you can't say, if we all walked in there with an 85, what is it? What did they want for it? 85 million?
Interestingly, the price has been removed. So it's now just a listing. But if memory serves correct, that was the number.
Well, you're looking on the public side, right?
Yeah, you can go on the.
So to get back to what we're talking about there, though, you know, they're you know
Thank you, Woody.
the owners are going. The owners are going.
Thank you for keeping Keith and Jerry straight.
Well,
We
no, it's
appreciate
just something that
that.
just popped in my head that we should talk about. You know, we're talking about, you know, the humanitarian value of that property as it sets right now, and that's how they want it to be assessed. Well, the problem with that is that's not highest and best use. That is what we call a use value. You know, it's being used for something specifically right now that's not highest and best use.
But aren't we conflating a little bit? This is a commercial parcel, right, versus the residential one that I just did, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're talking apples and pears here in the process, right? Because I can see where,
In 2022, the asking price was 84 million.
yeah, I guess what I'm trying to get a clear answer on the residential side, on these 250,000 and below, they can't calculate something that hasn't happened yet.
Right.
And B, they have to go by what's sold in the last 12 months to establish value.
Right. So market value requires, and because assessors follow the similar principles that appraisers follow, it requires there to be absorption in the market, right? So they can only base it on what's going on. There's not any demonstrative data right now that says that what could happen with the upzoning is actually going to add value to the property. We all know as practitioners that it's probably going to happen.
But, but
they-
this time next year is going to be a different number.
Absolutely, but they can't forecast. Forecasting is not something that
So
an
that's what
assessor
I
can
wanted to
do.
get out there. They're not allowed to forecast.
Right.
I think with the commercial property, if that's the rule, well, there's nothing to compare it against. There's nothing's ever sold, I think, of that size, right?
That's easy enough to do. All you've got to do is find other underutilized pieces of property. that have been bought.
And this happened
Not in
to
Charlottesville,
Ix.
regionally.
Well, and it also happened to Ix a few
And I
years.
can do that as a tax assessor? Go outside the region?
Absolutely. I mean, when we were doing triple net leases on fast food, we were going to Harrisonburg and Roanoke and other
Look at you.
places.
That's why you're
Yeah.
here. You're way smarter
Yeah.
than me.
Supervisor Ned Galloway watching the program.
Ned.
We love you, Ned. The Ix ownership actually referenced this. When Keith Woodard was trying to bring the farmers market to Water Street,
right.
he bought that, and that really changed. Help me with the language there. Once he purchased this parking lot on Water Street, the assessor then utilized that. Is that a comp for
Or I call it a precedent.
a precedent for how to assess Ix? And that's when Ix's assessment spiked dramatically, which they then challenged, and it was diminished a bit,
Right.
the assessment.
So since we've been talking, 2 more houses went on the market.
Oh, wow. It's Friday, right? Going into the spring market. So, what was I getting ready to say? I'm sorry.
Woodard, the parking lot, the precedent and the comp.
Oh, there's an old joke in the appraisal business. 1 comp's an anomaly, 2 comps is a coincidence, and 3 comps is a market. So, I mean, one piece of data is just that. It's one piece of data. If that piece of data is proven to be, you can vet it, verify it, you know that it absolutely is the best piece of data out there to use, you can certainly weight it. But I can't, you know, when you're doing a market analysis to support what you're doing, it's got to make sense. right? So, I mean, I don't know much about that transaction one way or the other, so I can't say if it's a great comp or a bad comp.
Well, it kind of goes to my statement is you really don't have anything too much to comp it to.
Right.
So you now need to go outside
Oh, absolutely.
the area to go ahead and comp it. I'm in the middle of looking in my commercial listing software to see what the current.
Well, it's just
price is
like when
about.
I called you early in the week on that piece of land that I'm working on. I'm not going to get into the details of what I'm appraising right now because it's an assignment. I can't talk about it specifically, but it's a really difficult residential parcel that I'm working on. And I've got to ascertain what a normal informed buyer would do with this piece of property or what they might be willing to pay for it based on what they can do with it as of right now as a by right use and what may potentially happen in the very near future on it. And I'm not able to do that in the actual market that it sits in. So what I have to do then is I leave that market and I look for other similar situations in other markets. So I'm calling my appraiser colleagues across the state, even across the country in some situations, talking to other real estate investors, developers, and I've got to kind of get an idea of how would a normal, knowledgeable participant in the market look at this piece of property, and that's how they would buy it. So you just have to use a little common sense with it.
Heather Placer-Mull watching the program right now. Thank you kindly for watching the show. Realtors, jump in with questions if you would like. Logan Wells Colelo, hello, and welcome to the program. Jessica Hines, welcome to the program, and thank you kindly for watching us.
Interesting. On the commercial side, they pulled the prices out too.
Folks at Avenue Realty watching the program.
745 days it's been on the market.
It's,
For commercial, that's not that much, though.
well, especially at that price tag.
I mean, if it's been on the market that long, at that price, that just tells you one thing. We all know.
An
No,
interesting,
they're not super motivated to sell.
an interesting
overpriced?
exercise
Yeah, right.
would be to overlay the new, which I have not done, the new zoning ordinances over that parcel and find out what now the by right use is on that, and does it match what they say, what they currently say? But it's been on the market approaching 800 days.
Todd Rath, I'll get to your comment here, the owner of Blue Toad Hard Cider, Mitchell
Todd, we
Kapelis.
stopped by for a drink out in Wintergreen at your yesterday, and I asked for you. I don't think you were there, but
It is good cider.
yeah, man.
Fantastic cider. Todd Rath says, when I bought the old Martha Jefferson in Nelson County, then turned it into Rockfish Valley Inn, they went as far as Wyoming mountain towns to get an as-built appraisal. They will definitely need to do the same with that one, which is what Woody highlighted.
Sure.
Well, let's pick that apart for a second, right? Because we have a lot of real estate agents that watch on a regular basis. So we get the question all the time, what's the difference between assessed value, appraised value, and market value? I know, really? Sorry. So let's try. What's the definition between an assessment and an appraisal? What's the two differences, and why are those numbers always different?
So is this multiple choice, or do I have to write an essay?
Essay. I got to go use the bathroom. I'll be right back.
So you want to do assessed value versus appraised value?
Yeah, so-
So they both.
Miles Hamrick finds this question hilarious.
Hey, Miles down in Charlotte, good guy. Most
Or
of
did
the
I
rest.
just put you in a spot?
No, not at all.
He loves this stuff.
But it's nuanced, like everything that we talk about. It's super complicated. So, to make it as simple as I can, they're really not any different. Now, how the practitioners go about it in either discipline is definitely different. One's using mass appraisal technique, where they're doing a lot of properties together to come up with a value, and they're metricing their values on what's called a sales price ratio study. And what that is what's property selling for, and then what's it assessed at. And if there's a delta there, that's how they will raise or lower based on that information with that study. The other, on the appraisal side of stuff, we are using individual comparisons. We're not doing a whole, we do look at groupings of data, large groupings of data, but then we narrow it down and we find, the best 3 to 12 comps that we might be using to compare the property to, and that's how we'll come up with it. We're very specific in appraised value versus assessed value. Assessed value, by the nature of what it is more, it's statistically driven, so it's more general than specific.
Todd Rath says, thank you for stopping, Keith.
Yeah.
He was off to take the youngest, Let me read it verbatim. There's a lot of comments today. Sorry I missed you. Just left at 3 p.m. to get the youngest off to the bus into a basketball game in Madison Heights. And he says, Ix Park, I bet, has a like property or close to it in Burlington, Vermont, or Asheville, North Carolina. Interestingly, he's highlighting craft beer epicenters. I'm curious if that's why he's doing it. Three Notch is obviously the anchor tenant of Ix Park in
Right.
Charlottesville, Virginia. Keith
That's
Smith,
what the sake brewery is too, right?
American Sake is there as well.
Oh.
That's good stuff, man.
Also,
They
one
have
of
really awesome ramen. And
I haven't tried it.
Oh man, if you like ramen, I would highly recommend.
My
it.
daughter
one of the hugely influential and impactful anchor tenants at Ix Park, Yes Realty Partners, also located there as well.
Formerly located there.
Has some
Formerly located. So look, I'm going to try to answer my question a different way. So so I'm representing, Jerry wants to buy. I'm representing Jerry, and we just looked at 311 7th Street. It sold this time last year for $245. As you guys were talking, I ran a quick CMA on it. It's probably about $255
Okay.
market value right now. But the tax assessment is $207, and Jerry is super smart. Let's assume Jerry is super smart. Jerry is
Thank
super
you.
smart.
Thank you for that assumption.
And comes to me and goes, hold it, time out. Why am I paying $255 for this and the tax assessment is $207?
Okay.
Where's the difference there? Why
Time.
is that there?
Time and methodology. Again, that piece of property is lumped in with a lot of other property.
And that number was done in 2022.
It was also done last year, right?
Well,
So
that would be 2022 because that's
Well-
2023 numbers.
But look at what they got to do. So they've got to post their value on January 1, right? So they've been spending the entirety of this past year preparing, and they're finishing it up in September and October, and they're going to finalize it, in November and December. So their data points may not even go all the way through 2023. They may stop in the third quarter.
June or something.
So they may actually be considering data from the previous year in the
Yeah.
last quarter.
Yeah.
There's no limitation on how far back they need to go. I mean, they're doing trending. They need enough information to be statistically relevant, so they'll go back and they'll do that. So if you're an informed buyer, for the most part, the only thing the assessment should really matter to you as a consumer, really, other than the fact that you got to pay it, is that what's it going to cost you to? It's part of your operating cost for your property, and you want that to be as accurate as you can, or lower than accurate if you can get it, because it's a carrying cost you got to have. But as far as market value, if that's how you base what you're buying things on, you're going to be sorely disappointed most of the time.
Well, it's a little, and that's the point I wanted to get out. That number is very lagging, right? That
It's
very
it's
much
always
so.
diminishing. Yes.
It also, in my opinion, and that you're really looking at 22 sales numbers, and we're now in 2024.
Right.
And we all know what's happened in the last
I mean,
2 years.
it's not uncommon for, residential data anyway, to go back 12, 18 months sometimes. And that's what they're basing all of it on. Now, a really good assessment office knows how to do what's called a market conditions adjustment. So if they go back 18 months, they're going to bring that current to whatever their effective data is for their study. So it should equalize and normalize out, but it's older data. So I mean, it's always going to trail. And the thing is when the market's going up, most of the time it's going to be lower than current market value. But as the market goes down, it also ends up being higher for a little bit for a period of time.
Woody said, message for you from Wolf. Is that John's nickname, Wolf? He said, call me Wolf.
Oh, Cope.
Yeah, he says, you should tape this and blog it. This is fantastic.
So to your point, while you were talking, I went and looked in the city of Charlottesville, right? All of 2022. What is sold from 250 and below?
Mm-hmm.
You want to know what the average sales price was?
What?
204.
Wow.
The assessment is at 207, so that's pretty damn close, right? Because this
These
is
are
a 20
detached homes?
I don't know. I'm just doing a group. These look like condos.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all either attached or condos.
Okay.
I just did a big
Right.
what ultimately sold on that thing. So to our point, so this 207.23 number is really a 22 real sold number, and now we're up to 250 something on that price point.
So what's that tell you?
The market's going up in price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we know that.
And And I think this 11% from 250 below isn't probably too far off.
So what do you say to the folks looking to challenge that?
Well, we got to look at each individual unit, right?
Still reach out to your trusted advisor.
Absolutely. Look, and if you get the ticket and you think that you are being overcharged, like I said in previous shows, pick up the phone, call myself. I can't speak for Woody, but I would hope, and Woody, I'm sure, would take the phone call on
absolutely.
And if the numbers are inverted, smile and just continue along with your daily life there.
This is a good question for Woody. Are the truly custom-built homes the most challenging because you don't have something to compare the customization to?
From an appraisal perspective, yes and no. I mean, I specialize in luxury property and high-end real estate. So, I mean, I've got a lot of market data. And, the thing about a really customized home is that there are other properties that may not be like exactly like it, could be a completely different style, but it's just as atypical to the market as other properties that are atypical to the market. So we can generally get a good idea of what the market would most likely be willing to absorb it for. But you're also talking about a class of consumer that, if they're buying a $5 million home, oftentimes these folks are able to write a check for the $5 million home if they want to. So their motivation is way different than you're going to see in, the markets in the middle, the upper middle class markets. So
we know 25%, because we've been tracking it, it's been pretty holding true.
Cash.
As cash.
Right.
How much does that impact, or does it impact at all, your appraised value?
That's a great question.
So again, that's a nuanced answer that I have to give you. So it depends. So when I'm doing market value, I'm doing it at a cash equivalent basis.
Got it.
But when the majority of the market is using financing of some kind, that can change that a bit. Now, if you've got a cash buyer who's overpaying, that's why it's really important to hire appraisers that are going to get out there and actually vet the sales. Meaning, I've got a $5 million sale that sold for cash. I'm going to call the agent on that. And then when I get off the phone with that agent, I'm going to call the buyer's agent. I'm going to say, hey, what was the motivation here? Do you, in your opinion as an agent or a real estate professional, did it sell at market value? And, all the professionals that we work with here locally, for the most part, they're really honest, and they'll tell us, oh yeah, they really like the property. It spoke to them. They paid extra for it because they wouldn't need to remodel it as much because when you get into those properties, personal taste, you'll get in right after they close and they'll spend $500,000, $1 million just decorating and getting it to their taste, moving walls around and things like that. So those are all things you got to know, and that happens a lot in that particular market.
This is a good question for you. How do rent rolls and active tenants impact Woody's appraisals?
Well, we're doing market value, so if they're at market value with their tenants, then we will. That definitely is. It's again a data point or a set of data points. But if they're mismanaging the property and they're under leasing it out, then that's not market value. So we have to figure out what is market value. And now you can, in some situations, they're getting positive. More than
Cash
market
flow.
rent. So, and we have to look at that too, because that's more of a use value than it is a market value, because for whatever reason, they're able to get more than market on it. Then we're going to trend it back to market. So it's very important, but I mean, understanding if you've got a great management system in place, it can either be really good or it can be really bad. And when we're doing market value, we've got to figure that part of it out and adjust for it.
Johnny Ornalis, welcome
Johnny.
and watching the show right now. Follow-up question to that. Active tenants, this is a commercial question, active tenants and owner-occupied commercial.
So we're getting into a realm that if I had Heather here on the show with us, I would definitely defer to her to answer this. But she's been my mentor now for the last couple of years, so hopefully you taught me well, Heather, if you're still watching. Yeah, I mean, when you've got an owner-occupied property, it may not be at market value. I mean, it really, again, it depends. I mean, are you going to charge yourself full market rent for something? And a lot of times with owner-occupieds, they're like special use properties, so they're not necessarily going to be, it's not going to be something that you're going to be able to easily figure out. That's why we put so much impetus on the sales comparison approach and the income approach when we're looking at what the market's willing to do with something rather than what an individual owner might be willing to do with
The
it.
owner occupied from a lender standpoint, more appealing to the lender because the owner is occupying the commercial property. It's not just truly speculative.
But it depends on where you're at in that, right? If this is what your business model is, but I can tell you in a simple level, you're 100% right. Owner occupied usually doesn't valuate as
Right.
high. Rentals do because they're income. They're producing income.
Right.
Which, are you comfortable with chatting a little bit about rents, residential rents?
Yeah.
So nationwide, every
He's
article.
comfortable with everything.
Excuse me?
He's comfortable with everything.
I have too much respect for him to put him in a spot he didn't want to be in.
Fair, very fair.
But all the articles I'm reading nationwide, and Jerry and I have been talking about this for a while, rents are either stabilizing or dropping. I don't see that here. So is that tracking with information you're seeing out there that rents are maybe not appreciating as much as they have been, but they're still going in the upward trend?
So we're still seeing an upward trend on single unit residential and small multi-unit. Small multi-unit in the appraisal world is 1 to 4. Anything above 4 gets into the commercial side of things. So we're still seeing it. We just did a 10 unit here in Charlottesville, and that's still trending upwards as well. So Charlottesville's different, and that's why going back to one of your terms, it's hyper local, right? You want to work with professionals that understand what Charlottesville's actually doing and the region's doing, rather than hiring someone from 4 hours away that may or may not have any familiarity with the area.
I know the money for multifamily large units is starting to dry up big time.
Yeah. Well, they overbuilt in a lot of places.
Yeah, but that's a national trend that's impacting. If you and I and Jerry get together and do a 100 unit, because I'll tell you, if you're going to do an apartment complex, your minimum floor is 100. You need to be much higher than that just to get the math to work on it. That money, unless you're using cash, which is big numbers, is getting harder and harder to borrow.
Yeah.
Keith Smith, questions for you coming on the show right now. He mentioned earlier in the program that additional inventory is coming on the market. What does he attribute that to if the spring market sprung in January, as he said last show?
Yeah, so I think that's what it is. I didn't check it until I sat down here. The 7-day trend, I kind of expected to see it in the mid to low 30s units, and we're up to it's up to 62 now. I'm sorry, 61. It gained 2 units since we've been.
I think it's fair to say that in January, you're kind of like that gardener with a greenhouse. You're just starting to germinate the seeds. They're getting ready to sprout. They're coming. You don't know how that crop's going to come in yet.
Great, Woody.
But then, February's now popped, and we're seeing a tremendous uptick in volume.
I thought gardening was like going to Costco to buy food. You have to. People actually do
I liked that metaphor right there from Fincham. So you expect more to come?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think
What
so?
I find the most interesting is we're now almost balanced between what's come on and gone into pending. I think you're going to find over the weekend and the next 3 days. Now, there's a little caveat to what I'm looking at here is by car rules. Help me out here, Woody. I think you have a maximum of 48 hours to post a pending.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, so there could be some lag time, right, from the time that it actually goes under contract till it actually shows up when I'm looking at it.
Could be.
The actives are kind of, as soon as you list it, it's showing up. So we might see a bump over the weekend of pendings that are actually went under contract now that don't end up into the system until either today's Friday, sometimes Saturday, sometimes Monday. So mid next week would be a really good time to take a look at it. But look, it's the spring sprung, but I got to, for Wednesday's show, I'm going to bring this in. I've got a 21-year running spreadsheet that shows, it's a graph that shows volume of sales that go up, and it's normally you don't start seeing the spring market, the spring in this area, so somewhere around late February, early March. I'm convinced, and I'd like to get your opinion on that. I'm convinced January 1, interest rates started to drop a little bit. Bingo, we're in the spring market.
Dropped a fair amount. Now, we've recently had some, news cycle talking points from the Fed that the cuts aren't going to happen as fast as we wanted.
Right.
But still, from October of last year, we're talking a point and change lower. That makes a difference.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. I mean, it definitely affects purchasing power out there, and it gets really expensive if you don't have a perfect credit score too, real quickly. So that does affect it. But I mean, the news cycle's weird because it really does. It either poisons consumers or it will make them want to jump. I think this last Fed announcement, most of the news media outlets have been pretty positive about it.
They've been tamer with the commentary.
Yeah.
Where previously, if that news cycle had hit, they would have they would have exaggerated the story.
Yeah.
Hyperboil.
I don't think so.
Something like that.
Hyperbole.
Hyperbole. There you go. Look at that. They're keeping us smart.
Judah's going to jump in here with the word we're talking about. But you're right. It was more tame, the coverage.
And why do you
Yeah.
think that is?
Who knows with the media? I mean, if I had to put a poster on a picture on a poster of irresponsibility, I'd put national media outlets on it. It's whatever's going to drive their ratings at the time.
When the guy stopped smoking a cigarette, reading the news at 6 o'clock went away, I think news kind of went downhill after that.
I think Americans and viewers and listeners and readers are ready to head in the new direction of dropping rates. And
Yeah.
they may just be getting, disenchanted or not willing to start clicking and trafficking the website content that is rates are stickier for longer. Rates are stickier for longer.
Right. Yeah, I mean, again, get with someone that you really trust and, that you can work with on the mortgage side. I mean, if you're interested in buying, I mean, that's really the best thing you can do because you really don't understand what's going on in your specific situation unless you've talked to somebody.
Well, the two mantras I'm using for this year, life will happen, right? We're starting to get to the point that people have to start making life decisions, and they're going to move the market forward, regardless of interest rates. And now is the right time to buy. I had a phone interview, a Zoom interview with a buyer client of ours. That is moving down to Raleigh. So we always do a phone interview with them before we do some referral out. And young man, in his 20s, and he's like, I'm ready to go. He gets it. He understands it, that he's, getting into the cycle of generational wealth at any moment. And if you can afford to do it, is really the right time to do it.
Matthew Woodson, hello. Thank you for watching the program.
Hey, Matthew.
Love when he comes on the program.
I need to actually call him today. Thank you.
Dorinda Lane, hello. Welcome to the show. Thank you for watching the program. So, Woody Fincham, this question for you. How's the book of business looking?
We're very busy right now. Thankfully, I mean, we were as slow as we've ever been since we started the company 5 years ago through the last quarter. And I'm not complaining. We were still busy, but just not as busy as we had been historically. And it was nice to actually get a little bit of breathing room, to be honest with you. But we're back up running right now. We've got a lot of litigation work going on, a lot of private work that's not related to mortgage transaction, whether it's estate planning or feasibility analysis where people are thinking about doing this. Doing something with their home and they want to know, well, what's the return on investment for them and that kind of thing. So we're staying pretty busy with that stuff.
So how can people best reach out to you, right? And for those who have to help, and before you answer that question, I want to publicly thank you for helping us with the land trust. You did a very, 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 very quick turnaround time on this house that we're buying at
What
Lake
is the best?
Lake Monticello.
Yeah,
So thank you very much.
I'm happy to help. That's helping folks get into some more affordable housing. I love helping with that. So anytime I can do it, I'm happy to do it. As far as reaching out to us, I mean, if you look for Woody and appraiser on Google, you'll find me. I think I'm the only one out there. Oh, actually, no, there is a Woody that's an appraiser in Richmond as well, but you want the one here in Charlottesville. But Fincham and Associates is our company, and I'm pretty easy to find. So,
Or you can go on to Real Talk with Keith Smith, pull down the partner tab, and then in there is your link, and you can click on that to reach out to you.
That's good for SEO purposes. Gentlemen, your weekend plans before we get out of here. Woody Fincham.
I've got a full day of appointments today, and then I'm going to Charlestown, West Virginia tonight to go see Extreme in Living Color at the casino, which is for all of us old people. They know who Extreme and Living Color are, but they're bands from the 80s and 90s. So.
Any gambling?
Nah, I'm
Not a
gonna
gambling guy?
Go up and I took my kids to see him in Roanoke a couple nights ago, and then I'm going back by myself tonight to see him. So
Keith Smith?
I'm recovering from my.
You went skiing?
I went skiing yesterday with our team and our partners. It was the first time since 1984 I was on a pair of skis.
What slopes did you stick with?
There was a bunch of bunnies floating around.
So no eagle swoop for you?
No. We at the age of 60 something.
They went to Wintergreen, guys.
At the age of 60 something, I can't believe how smarter I'm getting. So if it was 20 years ago, I would have overdid it. So it was a lot of fun. Didn't bite the dust, but I will tell you, even though I cycle regularly, there are muscles I apparently have not used in a long time.
Skiing will do that to you.
Oh man.
Absolutely. Keith Smith, Yes Realty Partners, one of the principals, YesRealtyPartners.com. Woody Fincham of Fincham & Associates, they do a bang-up job. Judah Wickower, the director and producer of the talk show. It's Real Talk with Keith Smith online and RealTalkWithKeithSmith.com. The I Love CVille show, my friends, is up in approximately an hour and change. Thank you kindly for joining us, and so long, everybody.
Have a great weekend, guys.